welcome to the Jewelry Business Academy podcast. I am so excited. I don't know how we've gone so long without getting you on this podcast, but I'm so thrilled that you're here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It is such a pleasure. Now, I know you've had a wild day. Let's just start with that. You were just chased by a bear.
I was.
What happened?
Going back a few days, I was in Vancouver picking up some castings for my jewelry, and my car got broken into. So I dropped my car off to get the window replaced today. Pouring rain on the walk back to my house, and I was with my dog, and there was a young bear. And usually I'm not phased because they just leave you alone, but this one it was spooked by something, and it started running towards us. My dog was freaking out. I was just slowly backing away, trying to stay calm. Luckily it ran off in the end, but yeah, definitely got my heart going.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is so wild. I mean, it's the beauty of BC. There's a lot of nature. And yeah, what a way to like wake yourself up for
Yes,
podcast
totally.
anxiety. The anxiety for the podcast is gone, and now it's just the anxiety
Exactly,
from being chased by a bear. I like it. Okay. So yeah, I'm so excited that you're here, Elle, because you've obviously been in the Jewelry Business Academy for a couple of years now. I think it is actually. You came to our retreat in Kelowna a few weeks ago, which was so special to have you here. And so I'm excited for you to share a little bit more of your journey in building your jewelry brand Pretty Steep, the lessons that you've learned, and some of the challenging things that you've navigated, as well as like your transition that you recently went through. 3 days, I think, after the retreat, you quit your job and went full-time in your business. So I'm really excited for us to talk about all of that. But before we do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself to our listeners and share a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I'm Elle. I'm owner of Pretty Steep, and I create sterling silver mountain inspired jewelry for adventurous souls. I live in Pemberton, BC, so I live right in the mountains, and all the jewelry that I create is inspired by the lifestyle that I live in the mountains. Mm-hmm. How I got here, it definitely hasn't been a linear path. I grew up in the UK, and obviously not in the mountains, and occasionally we go on family holidays down to the Alps, Switzerland and France, and I was so obsessed. I felt like it was like this other world that just, I don't know how to explain it. I just fell in love with it. And for my 16th birthday, my dad made me, he wasn't a jeweler or anything, but he surprised me with this white gold ski pendant that he made for me. And it's because he knew how much skiing meant to me and wanted to create something, I guess, that kind of took me back to that. And then, that was like many years ago. And then I studied graphic design. I worked in advertising. So I was working in that creative world. And I loved the work, actually. But I was working in London, and I just felt like I literally had the screensaver on my laptop was like always pictures of mountains, and I was always watching like ski movies and stuff. And eventually just the pull got so big that it was when I was 26. I upped and left, and I just moved to, it was Revelstoke at the time. And that was, it's so pretty. It's amazing place. And it's such a different world from London. People couldn't understand why I was moving there.
Couldn't be more opposite. I was there I've been up twice this summer, the first time I've been up there. And it's this tiny town, for anyone who doesn't know, like this tiny little town. There's like, I don't think there's anything above a 2-story in the whole town. And it's beautiful, like just beautiful and green and lush, and these huge trees. And it just reminds me of Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And you're surrounded by these gorgeous mountains, and everyone is like hiking and skiing and like adventuring, and you walk everywhere, and it's like such a vibe.
Oh, you're making me feel a bit emotional, that Revelstoke. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, I was just, and I just felt at home there immediately. It was such a weird feeling. I know my family were like, she's just going for the ski season, right? And I think they were like deep down worried I was going to stay. And sure enough, I did. That was 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so then I kind of carried on in my career of, well, I did ski instructing for a couple of years actually. And then kind of felt like I always felt like I had to do what I should do and what was expected of me. So I kind of was always trying to find my path in a career job. And I had sort of various different design jobs over the years. And as you can probably imagine, living in ski towns doing design jobs is quite difficult to
Challenging.
maintain. Yeah, didn't have the sort of glamour that advertising in London had,
Hmm.
but I was living the lifestyle that I wanted. Um, and then it was actually during COVID. I feel like so many businesses started during COVID.
Yeah.
I'd before then I'd always been so interested in jewelry, and I'd like, even as a child, I actually had a I was that kind of weird kid that would like run businesses out of the playground at school,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I used
Love
to have this
it.
little business selling these little beaded earrings when I was about, I don't know, I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I
Oh
was
my
selling.
goodness.
Yeah, so I
I
always
love
had
it.
that kind of like um I don't know, I always had this vision of my of like working for myself in some capacity, and and yeah, so then during COVID I was actually working at the time, but I, in my spare time, because we weren't allowed to socialize or go out or anything, I was
Mm.
making more jewelry and getting more into it and kind of like thinking like, could this be a viable business? And I had no idea. I would sell the occasional piece here and there, and that was kind of it. It was just, I always kind of felt guilty because I had all these tools sitting there and I had this idea and I had this thing I wanted to do, but I didn't know what to do with it. And it was just kind of this hobby that I toyed with the idea of making it a business, but I don't, I didn't see how I could. So I just
Mm.
kind of kept it small how it was.
As a hobby on the
Yeah.
side.
And then over the years, it kind of gradually kind of got more and more serious about it. Um, and yeah, so I was working corporate jobs I kind of progressed into more general marketing roles, working for very small companies. And yeah, it was a combination of, um, you know, being a graphic designer and working in marketing is great. And I actually love doing those things. But when you're working in that position, you're just, there's no freedom to do what you want to do and build what you want to build. You're basically you're just working to please other people. And,
Mm.
I would do branding projects, and I love doing branding projects for people, but you're, I'm just trying to bring their vision to life when really what I wanted to be doing was bringing my own vision to life. And, but I've always been very scared to kind of jump in. The thought of not having a steady paycheck is very scary to me,
Yeah.
and also I'm always finding myself. I still do it, but I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be. Kind of looking for approval from my family, my friends, I'm kind of like looking for validation and looking for people to tell me to do it, and no one tells me to do it. Everyone
Mm.
wants me to play it safe, and you know they just kind of think, oh, we all have to go to work. We don't want to go to work, but that's just life. Like, we just have to get on with it. And I've always really struggled with that, having to sit in a chair for 8+ hours a day and just kind of do what you're told. And yeah, it got to the point where I just, similar to like that feel of like the pull to move to the mountains, it's a similar feeling. Like, I just felt like I knew it was something that I had to do. I just didn't know how or when to kind of like take that leap.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I resonate so much with so much of what you were saying, Elle, because I was also in the corporate world before. And I totally get that feeling of, I mean, I love marketing, I love doing XYZ, but I'm not building something here that's for myself long term. Yes, it's safe. Yes, it's comfortable. Yes, I enjoy lots of elements about it, but it's not mine. Like, I'm not going to down the line be able to have more time off or do what I want when I want. And I think that ownership over our time is like such a big driver for so many entrepreneurs, and it sounds like it is for you as well. And so yeah, I love this. And it's reminding me of a conversation we had. Hopefully you're okay with me sharing this a couple of weeks ago on a group call. I think I don't even remember what exactly you shared, but you were basically like, Robyn, can you give me permission
Yeah.
to do this thing? And I think it was maybe to spend more hours a week on your business and maybe cut down hours at your job. I don't remember what the conversation was,
Yeah.
but it was like, I just need someone to give me permission. And I had to be like, here is your virtual permission slip, like go do that thing. And it's interesting to me because so many of us, we're just like, it's ingrained in us, I think, from schooling that we need somebody to be like, yes, you can do this, or yes, you're a qualified jeweler now, or yes, you can go and like build this big thing. And the reality is often nobody's going to come tell us that. Like,
Mm.
what we have to do is we have to see that pull and listen to ourselves. And I think it's hard when you're in this world where everything's thrown at you all the time. Like, life is busy, 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 busy. If you have a job, you have so much going on, and you have friends and family, and social media is throwing all these ideas at you. And it's easy to just like have this like slight feeling like, oh, I'd love to do this. And then it just gets drowned out by all the other stuff going on. And then those little questions from your inner critic who's like, who are you to do this? Who gave you permission? Like, are you even good enough? Is it even going to work? What if you fail? All those little questions. And then we just be like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to that feeling for a while. I'm not going to take action here. We'll just keep doing what we're doing because it's safe and it's like we're in a situation that we recognize. So you literally, are you 4 weeks now full time? Has it been 4 weeks?
I'm starting to lose count, but it's something like that. Yeah. I
Four
think it's actually
weeks.
slightly less, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, 4 weeks since you went full time as a jewelry business owner with Pretty Steep. And you, from what I remember, you came to the retreat in Kelowna. We had so much fun. It was such a beautiful weekend. You decided that you were going to cut down your hours. That was one
Yeah.
of your takeaways that you were like, I'm going to take action on that you committed to at the retreat. And then you came to a group call like 3 days later, and you're like, I just quit my job. Talk to us
Yeah.
about like what on earth happened, how you were feeling navigating that, because when we have to make a big decision like that, it can feel overwhelming. Like it's a lot.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So it was all kind of crazy timing. I'd been feeling this feeling had been getting stronger and stronger, and it was so clear to me what I wanted to be doing and what I wanted to spend my time doing. But um and I thought I could do both. I thought I could have my corporate job and I could um run this jewelry business and grow it. And I think everybody's different in this sense. Some people can do it, and and some people do it with kids as well. I'm like, I don't know how those people do it, but for me, I think when I'm doing something, I'm like all in, and I'm very like all or nothing, and I just couldn't. I think I was like energetically very drained from my day job, and then all my energy was used up, and I just didn't feel like I could do enough in those short hours in the day to kind of like see the progress that I wanted to be seeing. Um, but yeah, going back to the retreat. So I think it was like the week before the retreat, I was um, really struggling with my job. I don't know if it was subconsciously because I knew the retreat was coming up, but I felt like I had this like big decision kind of almost hanging over me, and it had been for years, if I'm completely honest with myself. And I I went to the retreat, and going into it, I was I think the problem was that, like, for the longest time I didn't fully trust myself, and that's why I'm continually looking for validation from other people and evidence from other people. And I went to the retreat and I shared with a lot of people. I think I'd shared on the calls or the Facebook group about kind of what was going on and this decision that I felt like I had to make. And I went to the retreat and, we did a lot of work on, it was kind of getting to like the core of us and our dreams and our visions. And I've never had a problem with the vision. It's the committing to this scariness of, um, you know, spending the money that you need to spend to get things going without any guaranteed return, was very scary to me. But I was so, everybody had seen my my posts or been on the calls, and I think every single person at the retreat came up to me and they were like, "Oh my god, I saw your post and I think you should do this and I think you should do this, and you've totally got this." And just, I think there were a lot of people there as well who were full-time in their business and they had made it happen for themselves. And I do a lot of observing of other people and kind of, I'm trying to stack more evidence for the people that it's worked for than the evidence against it, because most people fail. That's kind of the truth of it. But yeah, there was such an overwhelming feeling of support from everybody, and kind of that paired with all of the work that we did on our mindset and our goals, and what it takes to get, what it's going to take to reach those goals. And also even just meeting you and seeing the life that you've created for yourself and seeing the people that you surround yourself with. I could see that you'd made very conscious decisions to only surround yourself by people who lift you and people who inspire you. And it was such an overwhelming, like, eye-opener for me that I wasn't doing that in my life. My job was not the kind of job that could support even a side hustle, let alone a kind of like growing business. So yeah, I was still kind of like looking for that evidence of like, should I do it? And obviously, like, you can't tell me to quit my job, even though you probably wanted to tell me that I could, I could figure it out and I could make it work if I wanted to. Obviously, you can't go and tell people to do that. And I'd actually decided by the end of the retreat, and I think I told you, I was like, I'm going to cut down to 3 days a week, and it's going to give me 2 full days a week to focus on my business. And I got home, and I actually looked at my sales stats from like before I had started this job, because there was a period where I was just doing the jewelry, which was just over 2 years ago, and there was like a spike, and it wasn't far off, the income that I was making from my day job. So that was a real, again, I was looking for that evidence, right? Like, can I make this work? And then I saw that, literally the day I started my job, and the on Shopify, the spike just sort of like plummeted. And I was like, wow, that, really shows that. And that was 2 years ago when I barely had a business. I barely had any designs. I'd sort of very quickly thrown together this business and launched, kind of like half-heartedly launched it. And since then, I've learned so much. While I was in my job, I was still trying to join the calls that I could. I was still watching everybody else. And over those 2 years, I could really see like the people in the group who had made a real success of themselves. And some people, like, we don't even see them in the calls anymore because they don't need to come to them, right?
Thriving.
Because they're doing so well, and it's such an inspiration. And you see what those people have done versus the people who like are still in the same spot or haven't made any progress. And it's like the people who, not saying that everybody should quit their jobs and go all in, and it has to be the right time, and that's, I think, why I waited 2 years. But yeah, the people who are doing well now, they took, calculated risks, and they were like, this is going to work because I'm going to figure it out, and they just went for it, and they went all in, and they did absolutely everything that they needed to do. And most of those things are very uncomfortable, and I'm facing things every day that I don't want to do, but I know that I need to do certain things to get me to where I want to be. And I just got to this mindset, like at the end of the retreat, that like I am prepared to do whatever it takes. Like I wasn't feeling scared to show up on social media anymore. I still have there's still a lot of improvement to be made, but I felt like I wanted to be seen. Whereas before the retreat, I felt like I didn't and I couldn't. So yeah, I looked at those numbers and then I just thought, the kind of going back to work, and I was kind of like picturing the people that you were surrounding yourself with, and the path you had taken to get to where you are. And even though it's not necessarily the same kind of business, but I think you probably did a similar thing for your jewelry business. And then compared that to like the thought of going back to the office, and kind of, it was a very like, I didn't really have much freedom, and just I was told I wasn't allowed to work from home anymore and things like that. And it just really took away from like that empowered feeling. And I just kind of thought that I have to, if I'm going to do this, I've got to go all in, and I've got to just go for it.
Oh my god.
That's what I did.
I just got chills, Elle, and I know the story. It's I think such a beautiful story of like just the power of betting on yourself, because that's what you've done, and that's what you shared, like the clients who come in and crush it in the Jewelry Business Academy, like they do what's required and they bet on themselves and take calculated risks, and they are all in, and they know it's going to get hard, and they know they're going to mess up, and they know they're going to make mistakes, and they know they're going to fail sometimes, and they're like, I'm all in, I trust myself to handle this, and I'm going to do what's required even when it's uncomfortable. And they're also okay with being seen. And you're at that point now where you're like, okay, I'm ready to be seen. I think it was it you or was Cheryl who said to me, like, I don't even care anymore. I want to be as visible as I possibly can. May not have been you just yet, but
I think I said something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when we can break down those walls of like those things that we're doing to keep ourselves safe, like there's so much growth on the other side. And I'm so excited for you, Elle, because this is not a emotional decision that you made at all. Like you looked at the data. I'm for anyone listening, like we've had 3 people recently quit their jobs to go full-time in their business. And it's one of those things that I never push anyone into, but I'll also be very vocal if I don't think that they or their business are ready. And you have been ready since a year and a half ago. So I'm so excited for this season, Elle. And what's like one piece of advice you'd give to Elle from before, who, or anyone listening who's in a similar position to what you were, where you're like doing the safe thing, you have this feeling you want to go full time, you're scared, you have like all these feelings, like what is one piece of advice that you think would have been really, really valuable for you to hear at that stage?
I don't want to complicate the answer, but I sort of think that 2 years ago I wasn't ready for this. So I don't know if I actually should have done it differently. I think I sort of almost needed to take the path that I needed to take. So I think if you're crippled by anxiety and you're so terrified, it's probably not the right time to quit and go all in.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have worked. It would have been a disaster, I think, honestly. So I think kind of do what you need to do to get, because the other thing I did over the last 2 years was I got myself in a good position to be able to quit. So, I saved up some money. So I have more money in the bank than I did 2 years ago. I'm in a better living situation. 2 years ago, I was renting a bedroom in a shared house and trying to run a business out of a bedroom with my boyfriend in Whistler, which was just not viable. And, now we've got so much more space and, savings. And I just think that I'm really well supported with the JBA and with friends that I've got. And I also have spent the last 2 years, kind of building that faith in myself. I don't think I could have got there overnight. So I would say get a really strong support system, and I don't know. I guess like trust your gut is really it. I think I trusted my gut, even though I wanted to quit. I wanted to be doing this 2 years ago. I wasn't ready, so I think it was the right decision to kind of take the path that I did.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So powerful. And I mean, you're so right about timing, because timing is different for everyone. Everyone goes through different seasons. Sometimes we have to go through, I kind of like to, I mean, I don't know if this resonates, but this has just been my experience. Sometimes we have to be in a bit more pain as well in our current situation for it to like push us towards the thing that we're wanting. So sometimes it's like we need time, we need to be stacking evidence, like you were saying before, looking at people who are doing it, looking at people who are successful, who against all odds are like making a success of their business and full time and supporting families and hiring multiple team members, and stack that evidence that, oh my gosh, she's doing it, they're doing it, here's this guy's doing it, and here's what they have in common. They're betting on themselves, they're doing what's required, they are very visible, they are doing collabs, they're doing all these key things. And I know if I just like commit to doing that, I can do that too. And this is a possibility for me too. So I really love that, Elle. And I know you touched earlier on how you used to see your business just as a hobby. It just was never something that you could be doing full time. I speak to a lot of designers who had just see this as a hobby. This will never be full time. It's just not viable. And first percentage, 100% not viable. But there are a good percentage of people who are putting themselves in this box, and they just are not. They just have so much fear around potentially failing that they don't even give themselves a chance. What would you say? Like, talk to us about just how you've been able to let go of the label of hobby and embrace being like a business owner, and what your advice would be to someone listening.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like it's such a like windy path that I don't know if there's like one single answer that is gonna really help. But I consume a lot of business content, which I think really helps. Like whether it's like TV shows or podcasts or books or whatever I can, I'm just constantly
immersed,
consuming. Yeah, and I get really like obsessed with it. And it can be really inspiring to see how like some people build these massive businesses out of these tiny little crazy ideas, that, yeah, it's as long as it's as long as it's you can prove that it's profitable. I think that you can, as long as you can show that there's demand for it and it's profitable, I think that you can make almost any idea work. And
100%.
yeah, it's a funny thing because I still have this, I'm still very selective about who I share what I'm doing with, because I think most people think, and maybe this shows that like, a bit of that self-doubt still, but usually when you share that like, oh no, I'm doing this full time, people will think, oh, like they'll be very surprised that you can do it full time because they think that something like making jewelry is a hobby. But I think you've quoted this before, something about how Like, don't take advice from someone who isn't living the life that you want, or hasn't done exactly what it is that you want to achieve. Because most people do just see it as a hobby, and most people do fail, because they see it as a hobby. They never really take it seriously. Um,
100%.
but yeah, I think for me, it's just been, I know I keep going back to this, but I, and I think you actually reminded me of this the other day, like, listen to something every day that gives you evidence that it's possible, so that it keeps that in mind. Because I mean, the internet is just filled with negativity. I think
Oh, yeah.
there's a trend online right now, I've noticed, with jewelry businesses, or not just jewelry businesses, but like small businesses posting about how you can't make any money at markets. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen these. And
No.
it's just like, it was very easy. Or people posting about, like, oh, the price of silver is so insane, no one's ever going to buy silver jewelry anymore, might as well just quit now. And if you only consume that material, you're going to start to think like that too, and you're just going to be so consumed with doubt. So I would
Yeah.
say, like, really, really, really be careful about what you consume.
I'm so glad you brought this up, Al. I was literally talking to someone about this yesterday. Now, when it comes to what you consume, the problem with the Instagram and Facebook and TikTok algorithm is it's going to show you stuff that it sees you even stopping on, even if you're not engaging. So if every time you see a post about how a jewelry business owner is making no money at events and this and that and all the drama, it's going to fill your feed with that. And your brain is going to every single day consume all this evidence that what you're trying to build is not possible. Other people can't make it work. And so it's one of those things where it's like we have to retrain the algorithm. We have to only be engaging with things that are like, and it's not saying don't support other people who are struggling, whatever, but it's like we have to retrain the algorithm. We have to be very intentional with what we're consuming. And so I love that you've just immersed yourself in the world of business. I did this for excessive, I think there was 4 or 5 years that I just fully immersed myself. Business books, like business podcasts, all that stuff, like excessively. I went a little bit over the top. Now I'm like reading chill books and stuff again. But the benefit was insane. Like I could feel the benefit. Every morning, first thing that I did was listen to a business podcast and go for a walk. And what happened? Well, my brain was rewiring itself every single day, listening to these business owners who've built something amazing, being like, oh my gosh, she did it. I can do it too. They've done it. I can do it too. Here's one thing I'm going to implement from what I just heard.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep taking action every single day, and you keep rewiring your brain so that when you have days where you're like, oh, can I do it? It's not as like strong a brain path, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
than if you weren't consuming that. So I love that advice so much, Al. I think that's, I mean, it's free, number one. We live in a world where consuming and immersing yourself in the world of business is kind of free. You can get audiobooks, you can get so much stuff on YouTube and podcasts, and then also, books as well. But yeah, I love that. And so talk to us a little bit about the retreat, because you came to the retreat. I think you were maybe one of the first people who got their tickets. I can't remember, but you came over to Kelowna for the full 3 days, and talk to us about your experience, about like, coming in. Was there anything you were nervous about? Like, how did you feel?
Yeah, I was mostly just excited about it, but I was definitely, well, I'd also heard that the year before that there was a lot of crying. So I was a bit like, oh God, am I just going to be, because I was feeling very emotional going into it. And so I was like almost a little bit nervous about what it might uncover. But there was nothing to worry about. It was fine. But it was so amazing first to see all these faces that I'd, been on this journey with. And, that in itself was very emotional, even just like meeting you in person. And it just I just felt so ready to invest in myself and like take a bet on myself. And yeah, I mean, it was in a stunning location, and I think it was very, very, very packed days. I feel like a lot of these things that you would book onto, like, you know, they would do like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon and call it a day. But no,
Yeah,
it was like 8 a.m. sharp
I know.
start. And then it was like, there was kind of some, you know, some sort of deep, like we had a workbook that we worked through. There was some deep work on that, but you did a really amazing job of breaking up the day. And it was such a variety of things that we did that kind of like activated a different part of the brain, or, you know, um, even just like if you notice that the energy in the room was like, you know, people have just like poured their heart and soul out to the group and they were feeling a little bit like fragile or tired or whatever, you would make us all like, crank the music up and make us all jump around, which is ridiculous. But you really like did a great job of like managing people's energy, I think. And yeah, we did breath work, which is incredible. I'd never done that before. I kind of like had this vision that I'd never seen before, which kind of, yeah, just opened my eyes to that world. Um, we did like we did a thing where we wrote our fears or our limiting beliefs on a rock, and we did this ceremony when we went and kind of got rid of those limiting beliefs. And it was a lot of these things. It was real breakthrough moments for people. You could see it in their
Yeah.
faces, and people were just like, you know, it felt, I think for a lot of people, it was a lot of like weight lifted through the various exercises that we did.
Yeah. And
Um,
what was for you, what would you say was the biggest breakthrough?
I I don't know if I had like, because some people had like moments where they felt it. I don't know if for me, I think it was more the whole experience, because I, like I said, I can't even explain how it happened. It must have been like a subconscious thing over the weekend, but I I suddenly just felt so ready to show up and to trust in myself.
Mm. That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love that so much, Elle. Well, it was so special having you here. It was definitely like just the highlight of probably my whole business career, that retreat. It was so just beautiful having everyone here in person and then doing the deep work. And it's interesting what you said about like not being able to like pinpoint a moment because
Mm,
one of our other retreat attendees, Keely, I'm sure she won't mind me mentioning this, but she actually said the same thing to me. And it's because I think our first year retreat, it was very segmented. It was like completely kind of different things at different times. This one, I spent an insane amount of time kind of making the curriculum essentially all intertwined. So the breath work, even though Jordan was leading the breath work, he did an incredible job. It was intertwined with like, okay, in the morning we were working on fears and limiting beliefs, and the day before we were doing XYZ, and then on the mountain we did coaching and XYZ. And so it kind of was much more all interlaced. So I think it's interesting hearing that it wasn't like one like moment. It was kind of just the impact of everything all together. What was the
mhm.
most fun moment for you?
I loved the hike, even though I was half an hour late and had to run up the mountain to catch up with you guys.
I know I left my boyfriend at the bottom of the
Yeah.
mountain to run up with you.
That was, yeah. I loved the when we all swam in the ocean together, when the
Mhm.
storm was rolling in and everyone was like, "Oh, we crazy."
It was
Um,
amazing.
yeah, the dinners together, just yeah. I don't. Similarly, I don't think there was a highlight. It was all amazing, honestly.
Mhm.
It was just like the whole experience, and just feeling so lifted up and supported
Oh,
was just so incredible. And I just feel like everybody should be able to have that.
that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was magical. It kind of gave me summer camp vibes, which it's hard to get it as an adult, but then actually with like deep work and transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So quick question before we wrap up here, because you've been in the Jewelry Business Academy for a while now, and I always just like to hear from our clients, you know, for anyone listening, just to hear a little bit more of your experience in your words. So do you remember, now this might be hard because this is a massive throwback. Do you
Yeah.
remember before you joined what you were struggling with in your business at that stage?
Yes, I basically came to the table with like, I mean, I've always had like my niche, like my brand and I know what kind of jewelry I want to create. I know my niche. That's not been an issue, but beyond that, I didn't know what I was doing. So having kind of an evidence-based playbook almost to take you through all of the things that you need to do, and then having that support, it went from kind of, I don't know. I think when you're in your own business, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And between the having the the blueprint and then the calls. So if you're working through the blueprint and then you have a question, you can either check it in the Facebook group or in the calls, and it just, you never have the excuse of like not knowing what to do next, or really getting stuck, because you can very quickly solve that problem and be given direction. And not only advice from you, but advice from a bunch of other people who have had success and who have faced the same problem. They can be like, oh, I faced this problem and I did this, and so yeah, I that was one aspect. And then the other aspect, which is probably a much bigger, more difficult thing to fix, was my mindset. It was always like, I could see this vision, I had this vision and I could see it so clearly, but not trusting in myself. And I think that without the JBA, I would not still be doing this. I don't know what I would be doing. I would probably still be, wanting to do it, but not knowing where to start. But yeah, I don't think I would have had the courage. And yeah, I can't see how I would have done this without the JBA.
Oh my goodness, it just gave me chills, Elle. Just gave me chills. It's so beautiful. And I'm so glad that you did come in and take the leap. And I mean, even just taking the leap and joining is like betting on yourself. That's a huge decision to make as well. So I love that. So obviously you've gone through different seasons where you could show up a lot and seasons where you were super busy with work and that. But what would you say have been like some of your biggest wins since joining the JBA?
I'm trying to think of something that I'm not just going to be repeating myself. I think one of the other things actually that I haven't talked about is I'm now so clear on my brand and so clear on the way that I want to show up. And I'm so, I feel like I'm so like passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm so proud to show everybody. And I'm so like, I didn't really wear much jewelry before I started this, and now I'm just like, I don't have enough fingers for all the rings that I want to wear, because I'm so excited to like wear my own stuff and show the world. And yeah, I think that is huge, because if you don't have that, if you don't really truly believe, and like, you have to be obsessed with what you're doing to get other people to buy into it. And I think it really shows if you're not.
When you're hesitant, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge win.
What I'm hearing, sorry, Elle, is that you have conviction in what you're doing. And that, yeah, it's game changing. And I can sense the shift in you as well. I sensed the shift a couple of weeks ago, actually. It's funny because I remember, I remember thinking, there's no way you're going to wait 6 months until you do this. There's no way. I give it 3 months max, but it was like shorter. Because you can feel the flip when somebody's just got more conviction in what they're like, oh, no, I can do this. And someone can come and say, no, you can't. And it's not going to matter. You can sense that switch. So I love that so much. And what would you say to someone who's thinking of joining, who's maybe where you were a couple of years ago, and thinking of joining us in the JVA?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think if you've listened all the way through this episode, it goes without saying that I think I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, I just think it's the best investment that I've made. I remember I was actually like, I was very scared, like, to make the financial commitment. That's all it was for me. And I think I mentioned to you before, actually, that I'd had a bad experience with another coach. This was years before, and it wasn't anything to do with the jewelry. But, you know, I had someone who, it turned out they just wanted to take my money, basically. She actually asked how much money I had in my bank account.
Oh my goodness. Wild.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh, well, just, you know, pay me that and then we'll make 5 times that back, kind of deal. So, and I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of coaches out there in the world who they do just want to make money. But seeing, like, having worked with you, just I see that you put everything into it. You know, I saw how emotional you got at the retreat when you saw people's breakthroughs, and it's just so genuine and so authentic that, you know, I can't believe that I ever doubted it. You know, and the financial commitment that it was is just, you know, nothing compared to, you know, what I could achieve out of this in the long run. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, you're making me all emotional. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Elle. I really appreciate it. And is there anything that we haven't touched on that you really wanted to share with our listeners?
Not that I can think of. I feel like we've covered a lot.
We've covered so much. This has been such a wonderful conversation. It's funny, I sometimes come in thinking, oh, we'll talk about XYZ, and we go in like the most beautiful different direction, and it's just been it's been so much fun. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Elle. I have loved this, and I know that we're going to have so many listeners who are feeling really inspired by your journey, and they're going to want to follow along and follow along on your journey on building your business, but also check out your jewelry. Wait, you didn't even describe your jewelry for us.
No, I know.
Let's give us a little description of your jewelry, and also let our listeners know where they can find you and how they can support you.
So I'll start off by saying where you can find me. So I am most active on Instagram, and my handle is @prettysteep. And my website is prettysteep.co. And yeah, my jewelry, so it's all sterling silver. It's all inspired by the mountains that I live in, and the lifestyle that goes with that. So I've just launched an adventure charm bar, and I have like little charms for necklaces, and they're all adventure mountain themed. So there's actually a bear.
Oh my gosh,
There's like a dog charm and a mountain charm and a little mushroom charm and all sorts. And I have recently, one of the collections that I'm most excited about is I take the 3D mountains, like the 3D sort of from Google of the mountains, and then place them that mountain range onto jewelry.
Oh, wow.
So I've so far got a Whistler version, and I've just done a Vancouver one, and I'm so obsessed with them. And yeah, I want to do all the mountain ranges now. So
oh my gosh, that is such a brilliant idea. I'm so excited to see those, Elle. But I love the adventure charm bra. We got a sneak peek today yesterday in our Facebook group. Was
Mm-hmm.
it in our Facebook group? Yeah. And they're gorgeous, gorgeous.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm super excited. So yeah, anyone listening, we will drop your Instagram and website links in the show notes. Anyone can click and go straight ahead and follow and connect with Elle and shop her dreamy, dreamy jewelry. But Elle, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to bring you back on in like 6-ish months so we can hear
Mm-hmm.
the updates since you've gone full time, because I know you're going to be hitting a whole lot of really exciting milestones.
Yeah, I would love that too. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for joining me. This has been so much fun.